We can say it one of two ways. Option one, you're standing in your own way. You are the bottleneck. Or option two, you're standing in between your present struggle and your future contentment. You are the breakthrough. Both statements hold true, but they diverge in perspective. They also influence how you perceive your past, present, and future. By adopting a trauma-informed approach that acknowledges you as a complex adaptive system, you can unravel the enigma that is your unique self and identify choices aligned with your sustainable development. In other words, you can answer the tough questions. Who am I? What do I want from life? Who is my tribe? The approach is readily available. It's called the Coach Method, created by me, Dr. Michael A. Wright. However, the effectiveness of any intervention ultimately relies on your perspective and the lens through which you see the world. Coach Matrix recognizes that you may not currently possess the empowerment to shape your perspective or color your path within the confines of predefined boundaries. With the support of the Coach Matrix community, you'll sharpen the tools and leverage the guidance needed to navigate your journey towards personal and professional growth. By unleashing your potential and harnessing your natural capacity for change and integration, you can create a present of fulfillment and a future of consistency. Coach Matrix is empowerment. Informed by the well-researched Matrix 5x5 program, Coach Matrix empowers you to identify capacity, harness capability, embrace joy, and foster creativity. You will unlock your full potential and achieve the transformative outcomes you seek. So let's get you empowered. Matrix 5x5 is the program of systematic evolution. Coach Matrix is the community of support. It's all here at CoachMethod.com.
Breathe a sigh of relief. You made it to Strongly Financial, a weekly live web series dedicated to elevating your financial literacy and cultivating your overall health and well-being. Your co-hosts are Dr. Michael A. Wright and Ali Leonard. Their respective expertise in holistic wellness and financial consulting positions them perfectly to guide you toward optimal well-being and unrivaled financial success. Please allow me to introduce them further. The incomparable Ali Leonard. As a credit guru, Mr. Leonard has dedicated himself to fostering financial literacy in students of all ages. He has developed a comprehensive credit awareness curriculum that is suitable for elementary, high school, and college students. Mr. Leonard has traveled the country, providing credit awareness seminars to high schools, colleges, churches, and private organizations. Mr. Leonard has worked tirelessly with federal credit agencies, financial services, and real estate agencies, earning a strong reputation for his professionalism and expertise. Mr. Leonard is committed to educating and training consumers as well as assisting them practically to fix their credit. The company he founded, Financial Services Unlimited, offers credit consultation, credit services, and financial services including insurance for financial repair and wealth management. Join his supportive online community, FSU team, empowering you to take control of your financial future. Dr. Michael A. Wright. Dr. Michael A. Wright is a highly accomplished and respected professional in the fields of social work, coaching, publishing, and consulting. With a wealth of experience and expertise, he has dedicated his career to helping individuals and organizations achieve their goals and make a positive impact in their communities. As the CEO and lead executive coach at More Media Group, Dr. Wright specializes in helping individuals tell their stories and translate their ideas into capital. With interventions based on his signature contribution, creating opportunities and changing horizons, the coach method, he continues to focus on trauma-informed, holistic, and transformational approaches to personal and professional development. Join the vibrant online community at wealthcarebymoremedia.com, where he promotes practical habits of health in 4 key domains: brain, body, mind, and spirit. And I am your virtual host, Bartholomew Socrates. You can call me Bart. I introduce the ideas, the segments, and the opportunities as we explore the intersection of health and wealth weekly on Strongly Financial.
Hello.
Hello.
I see you are on the road today. I love it.
Yes. Doing big things, man. Doing big things.
Big things. Hopefully we can talk about some of that today. Talk about the road, the journey there. So it's good that you're on the road.
Perfect.
Right. So I got a couple of things to share. Of course, you're checking out my new background, so I'm just playing around and when I can see what I got in the back. Right, yeah. I got the little shadow puppet thing going over here. But you see this though? I know you're on your phone screen, but can you see this?
Oh yes, I see the logo. Oh, you got the T-shirt.
Merch, baby, merch. We gotta do it.
What?
Yep.
Man, I wear extra large, bro. I wear extra large.
Right? I gotta get yours in the mail, so definitely.
Wow. Definitely. I like that.
Yours actually is in the mail, so
okay. You'll get in a minute. That's what I'm talking about. That's cool. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I checked out a few vendors, and this one seems to be a good one.
Right.
So we'll be able to get these out to people with a low cost. So yeah, and this one has the logo on the back too.
Oh man, big time. So,
yeah,
colors and everything. Nice. Yeah.
I think most of them will just have the front logo though. Right. But anyway, that's the news for you. Like that's the exciting news for you. But I decided this week, instead of doing our typical 3 segments, we would talk about, and this a couple of weeks ago, we did 2 things. We suggested that we talk about insurance, which apparently went amazing last week. Lots of calls and things for that. I think Sharifa had a lot to do with that. I mean, you were good too, I guess, but when you bring an intelligent black woman into the mix, right? I think she's still she's gonna do her own show, isn't she? At some point?
I'm sure. Yes.
Yeah. So looking forward to that.
Yes.
But that discussion went really well. It's doing gangbusters in our analytics, so folks will be checking that out. I also launched the
Good.
YouTube connector so that we have a playlist that suggests the Strongly Financial. So
Wow.
it's doing
Okay.
well over there, and that's just the last week's episode. So really good stuff, and
Okay.
thanks to you both for that insight and great time yesterday or last week.
You're
So
very welcome.
the
Very
other thing
welcome.
that
We
we
enjoyed
talked
it.
about 2 weeks ago was just having a show where we talk about some of the challenges and some of the wins that we've had over the years. Because you know how it is with social media, you start thinking everybody's just doing so well, and then of course you got the scammers out there who they
Right.
tell you, yeah, I make 80,000 on the using social media, and the way they make the 80,000 is by telling you that they make the 80,000, and then they give you a course to teach you how. But that's how they make the money, is the course to tell you how to make 80,000, right?
Right.
So
That's
it,
great.
sometimes it's hard to hear what's really going on and the kind of struggles you have to go through to make this
Right.
stuff happen.
Right.
So I thought a
Exactly.
show about that, and that's what people were talking about 2 weeks ago. I think that's a good show to have. It's just open up some of the conversation about that. So I'll
Okay.
start kind of give you a chance to talk to my question, just generally introducing the idea of this it's not all at once kind of thing. Like as you talk with clients and you try to get them on that slow burn out of that microwave mentality, and you
Right.
try to get them to understand that it takes time and it's slow. How do you, what have you seen is kind of the frustration and then the methods to get there, even in your own personal experience?
Well, in order to really be able to understand and relate to the next level or trying to be processed, it's got to start with the mindset. I mean, without that, you can't convert someone who has the microwave um, concept, overnight success. I need it right now type. It's going to be hard to get them from thinking that way to thinking in a reality patient type of way. I tell people all the time, I started FSU uh, really on paper in 2000. It was 7 years, about 5 years before I really saw a good profit off of it. And it was 7 years until I made my first seven figures. So it wasn't a lot of growth in that first 3 to 4 or 5 years, but I kind of understood that and know what to put into that and what to get out of it. But now the mentality of the individuals is, I mean, they want it right now. They want instant. That's why they're so attracted to social media, because social media is very misleading to individuals, even when it comes to getting their credit, restored, repaired, whatever word you want to use. It can be done in 65 to 60 days, and you can go from a 400 to a 750. That's not gonna happen. Um, in reality, it's not gonna happen. So people got to understand that it's gonna be some struggles in whatever you do. It's not gonna be overnight. The instant gratification, get rich quick, it don't work, it don't last, and it's gonna just lead to more frustration. So
Yeah.
you got to get your mindset on that part of it. It's gonna take some time for me to build.
Yeah. I remember one of my biggest things when it comes to the beginning of the business was the learning how to focus on the business and really build the business being intentional about that instead of running after money all the time. I think
Right.
a lot of the folks that we're talking to are in those later stages of their life. You know, they're over 30, kind of looking at what they want to do next, how they're going to make these things work together.
Yes. Yes.
Like the discussion you guys had last week about the insurance and those pieces being important, and even some of those retirement pieces who are in our audience. But I think one of the most important pieces to just get into that, whether you're going to start a business now that's going to be what's going to take you into retirement, or you're
Right.
starting a business in your 30s and you're looking to get out of the rat race that you're in. I think one of the most important things is what you started to actually where you started when you said, I started this business on paper in 2000. And that hit me hard because the on paper is that vision is critically important for people. That was one of the hardest things for me.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at how folks structure their business, look at being focused when, especially those who have so many different things they're good at,
Right.
and trying to find that one umbrella to make that all work. And for
Yes.
me, it was figuring out that it's the writing that actually gets everything I need under one roof. And then I can help you build out financial wealth,
Right.
holistic wellness, like
Right.
all these different things. If I can get you to the point where you feel comfortable telling your story. And that
Yes.
included helping people to figure out whether they needed a therapist or not, and how they needed different coaching services, and what other pieces they needed. But it was sitting down. If you're asking yourself, how do I start this business or get into a venture that's going to make me additional revenue, it's starting to look at the vision of what it and
Right.
how that vision connects with what you want to do and the problem you're solving for people.
Right. Exactly.
And so the problem that you solved is obviously credit repair. Was that the original idea?
Um. Actually, I started the business because I needed to increase my commission when I was a real estate loan officer.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my clients couldn't qualify, and I was based on commission only. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something to get these people credit up to par so they can qualify, because majority of them that came to me, they couldn't qualify. I didn't know what to tell them, didn't know what to do. Okay, come back in a year and come back and see me. That wasn't good enough for me. So, when I started, the focus was just to help people get the credit scores increased. But shortly after I started doing that, and then I started getting more individuals that was kind of throwing me business, other loan officers and other businesses, credit unions, uh, um, places that couldn't get people qualified, they would start sending them to me. But shortly after that, it was like, if I didn't educate them and just did all the work for them, I found that people started coming back
Yep.
frequently. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to just keep them coming back over and over. That's double work for me, but it's not benefiting them because they're spending money over again for the same thing. So I was like, well, I got to educate them. I got to focus on. So after about 2 years of doing this, I said, if I'm gonna continue to do this, I got to educate. So I kind of switched gears and started focusing on doing the educational piece of it, sharing the knowledge. And I'm gonna tell you, it was very frustrating. I would set up a seminar for free, supply all the paper, the pens, location, and it might be 2 people show up.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It might be 10 people show up. It might be 20 if you're lucky. But there's some times when nobody showed up.
Yeah.
And it does get frustrating, but that's a part of the growth. That's a part of um, the passion for what you do. And they ain't had nothing to do with money. It was about just being able to educate people. And I didn't even charge for these seminars, back then. So um, I like when you said you can't just focus on the money piece of it. You got to be doing something that you like to do, enjoy. Because if
Yeah.
not, it ain't gonna last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I actually have gone full circle now. I do websites again for people, but I stopped. That's where I started, was doing websites actually. Of course, I'm a trained social worker, and that's really
Right.
my focus in profession. But I always wanted to add something, primarily technology, into social work. So that's what I've always been conscripted to do, whether it was in graduate school or as a new professor in the university. It was adding some technology into, directing computer labs and
Right.
building
Right.
the website, doing the assessment for the university department, those types of things. But I found that I wanted to expand that business. I wanted more clients, just like you. And I found that they didn't really have a sense of how to run their business. And that was the interesting thing. The business wasn't from training them on business, it was actually helping them to tell their stories. And that actually, as you probably know, is the approach to marketing. Is you really focus in on helping people to tell the story,
Right.
and that is the best way to communicate their brand, their business, their opportunity for growth. So yeah, that it's important to figure out that niche, even as
Yes.
you work through the trial and error of what you bring to the table, what people need, and
Right.
figure those pieces out. So I think let's take a break. And while we're on this break, when we come back from this break, let's talk about this notion of building out your own kind of personal finance. And we can talk about the six figures that I was able to eventually get to, the seven figures you were eventually able to get to. But let's match that with peace of mind
Whew.
and
Oh.
loving your life. So we'll get into that after this
Yeah.
break. This
Okay.
break is sponsored by Stream Bean,
Oh,
and we're going to throw your link up to your affiliate on that while the commercial's up.
perfect.
All right. All right, so you know that a link, the affiliate link for Stream Bean, you know all about it based on the commercial. We've talked about it in the past. Go sign on to Stream Bean and get into the realities of what they're calling the Zoom killer. Right?
Zoom killer. Yes.
The Zoom killer. But so this is really important to me, because I think a lot of people, they get into this situation where they think that somehow if I make the money, the happiness will come. And the reality is you got to understand what your happiness is, because it may not take that much money. What's your take on that?
It never does. Well, for me, and I can speak from experience and also from several clients that I've had that were multi-millionaires and people that were doing very well, six figures, high six figures, seven figures, eight figures. Um, but I'm gonna start with me. After 7 years, you know, made our first seven figures, which was $1 million. And then, graduated from there to several $1 million. But to be honest, I didn't have any peace. Yeah, I was able to buy the material things, but I worked so much. I put so much time and energy into the business at that point that I was sacrificing my family, sacrificing my children, um, my spouse. That's part of why I've been divorced twice, because of that situation. So, but I mean, it wasn't a lot of peace. Yeah, I was there, I'm making the money, taking trips, when I could, eating in the finest restaurants, driving the finest cars. But as far as the peace of mind, it's going to be a trade-off until you realize and say, okay, enough is enough. Peace is way more comfortable and happiness and value than money. Yeah, you want to have a balance, of course, but a lot of times when you're trying to chase that dollar, there is no balance. And I'm telling you that you might say, well, yeah, I can balance it. When you really focus on it and you're trying to reach a certain number and you're trying to, get to a certain level, or to the next level, you're going to put that energy and time in it, and something's going to suffer. It's going to suffer. You're going to be able to balance it like that, unless you decide to say, this over here is more valuable to me. Yeah, so we're gonna live comfortable, but we ain't gonna be rich. We ain't gonna be wealthy, but we'll have enough to where we can live comfortable. So people got to make a decision at some point in time about their passion and how much of this passion are you willing to sacrifice your life for, and your children's time, and your spouse's time, and family and loved ones' time for you to reach this goal.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like I was really intentional in the early part of my life to figure that out and to correct the problems that I saw in other people's relationships. That whole, like, just thinking that the job required them to be away from home, and I always resisted that whole traveling motivational speaker thing, even though I felt like it fit me to a
Right.
certain level. I didn't want to do that because it would take me away from my family, and intentionally didn't want to be in that space. you know and full disclosure, my kids are all grown now, so I don't have that same pressure, and their
Right.
shift in how I
Yeah.
see that
Right.
that whole proposition now. I still don't want to travel the world. My retreats are going to be in Las Vegas, so get ready for your trip to Vegas,
Let's do it.
because we're
I'm already
definitely going
packed.
to do retreats in Vegas. That's going to be our setup location, and we're going to show people how to do Vegas right. By the way, so
Okay.
get ready for that. But that's figuring out that how that's going to fit for me, and I appreciate your candor with that. At this point, I've been divorced once, and I'm not going back. But look, I'm gonna find me some friends, and we gonna go to Vegas and talk about money and
Uh,
education. That's what we gonna do. But anyway, but but
wow.
that the funny thing is, that's the thing. There isn't a right way. Like, you kind of end up in that space, and this is what I want people to understand. Peace is when you actually are in the place where everything is easy. And that's not to say that there aren't ups and downs in the whole experience. There are arguments with people. If you have anybody else in your space, there's going to be ups and downs and that kind of thing.
Yep.
But the what we're talking about with peace is when you have the comfort, the assurance that all those things work together for the good, like that it's all going to work out.
Right.
And that's the piece that I have more so now. And it's specific in how I structure what I want to do and where I am. And the cool thing about that is what I alluded to earlier. It's a lot less money than before, but it's a lot more peace. And then you start to get into what we've talked about, the cycles of making more money through the engagement of your peace.
Right.
So it's not just a matter of you loving what you do anymore. It's even more so you recognizing how your peace connects to your productivity, and what you love to do connects you to potential financial gain.
Yes.
That's the holy grail. That's what we're really looking at developing in this process. So
Yes.
so I woke up this week on Monday, and I'm not stressed about who's requiring this of me and who's requiring that of me. But that's not just because of, happenstance. Those are
Right.
intentional choices that have been made about the amount of money, the amount of peace, and the experience that I want in life.
Right.
I'm hoping people can have a good sense of that as we talk about this. So, what's the way that you would advise people to start this process? Like, if they, you've helped them with their credit, they're working on that job situation, they, the first thing that comes to mind because of people being frustrated is, I want to quit. And I
Yes.
wrote a book about quitting, like, especially
Right.
in the context of the after COVID and
Right.
getting employers to
Right.
respect you,
Right.
freedom to quit. I should bring that up at some point. But the grand pivot, though, is the thing that I also wrote. It's a separate book that is in that vein, and it's the suggestion about what to do. It's not just about quitting, but it's about looking at how to build out the lifestyle that you want. But that lifestyle isn't about the amount of money. Back to what you were just saying earlier.
Right. It's not.
It's not about the amount of money first. It's about what you really want out of life. So when you have clients that are facing that, I'm going to ask you what you tell them, but let me also reference, just because it's social media, let me reference the viral clip right now of Will Smith saying, and I don't know if you've seen it, but Will Smith said, money isn't everything. I have the money. I've had the opportunity to buy anything that I wanted to buy. And let me tell you, that does not bring happiness. You better have happiness before the money, or find it during. Because having the money and buying all the different things, once you have everything, what else is there?
Right.
And that's the question that we're all left with. After a lot of people are, caught up in that rat race of trying to get it. But once you get it, what is there afterward? What is there, I say, during that process?
Right.
What do you tell them, Ali?
I tell them that, first of all, you got to have a goal that's in place. Something that you're going after. But I also tell them that this is not an overnight sensation. It's going to take time. But then in this process, if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't change how you think, if you don't change how you do things, you're going to continue to get the same results unless you change some things. Now, changing some things, you got to understand and take it from someone who's experiencing and have listened to several people that have experienced it. You think that money is going to change or solve all your problems in life. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. No, yeah, I mean, you want to have capital, money, reserves. You want to have all of that, but you don't want to trade that for what you can potentially lose during this process. So you want to be able to balance the two. Um, don't be so focused on the money part of it, making the money, making the money, making the money. I'm sacrificing, putting in 20 hours a day, whatever the case may be. But be able to balance your life because trust me, if I had to do it all over again, I would have been a lot more balanced because I'm going to tell you the truth. When I was a multi-millionaire, I was more unhappy then than I was when I was just living a normal, average, still decent life without all the other pressures and the worries and the things that come with money. Like the song that P. Diddy and them, hey, more money, more problems. So don't think that just because you're getting the money that everything is going to magically disappear in your life that is hindering you or going to magically make you happier. In a lot of cases, if you don't have the right mindset, it's going to make you worse.
Yeah.
For real. So that's kind of what I kind of explain to them when they're coming to me. Don't think that, I can see it in your eyes, you want to put in the work, but don't sacrifice your happiness and your peace and your family a lot of times for being able to attract this dollar. You got to have a balance.
Yeah. Balance. That balance is the byword. Yeah. Because
Yes.
it's so important to have a good sense of what those pieces are. You also said goals. Know what your goals are. What is it that you really want? I mean, I get frustrated with folks who say they want family, they say they want peace, but then they go out and work hard for money. Like they
Right.
say, the grass is greener where you water it. If you're watering the money grass, you're not going to get the family grass necessarily unless you're watering that too.
Right.
So you have
Right.
to make sure you're watering and putting your energy in the areas where you really want the results. And I think that it's hard to do that sometimes for people who are on that they need that shift in mindset where they have to recognize what really is important and how these things really work. Because I've always looked at people who had less and tried to learn from them as well as learn from the people who have more.
Of course.
Because I remember, like, a good example is my grandma, who never had a lot of money. I mean, the most she's ever had at one time is $4,000. I only know that because she put it in a safety deposit box, and she gave me a key to it and told me to go look at it. And that's the only way I knew. That's the most money she had ever had. She saved that money over like 40 years.
Wow.
But my grandma was just never in a negative state of mind. She was always the person that everybody talked to get encouragement from. And she lived according to whatever the opportunity was. And I by that I mean she rented a house for most of her life, and then when she got old enough, she moved into a high rise kind of assisted living, um, qualification for income, sliding scale income type situation.
Right.
And did she have any negatives about that? Did she feel any kind of way about that? No, that's what you do. Like she lived a good life. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
So the
yes,
idea
yes,
that we
yes.
create these visions of what it looks like to be a success or to be happy. No, she wanted her grandson to do well. That
Right.
was one of her goals. And then when she got a couple other grandchildren, she wanted them to do a little something. But I was but she wanted all her grandchildren to do well, right?
Wow.
She wanted
Wow.
her son to get himself together. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
When you talk about balance, she had that as kind of her settling situation. It wasn't about being multimillionaire. She worked with
Right.
multimillionaires. She worked with people who had money, but she wanted that kind of life. And also, let me just say, I think a part of this is an important point in the way I think about it. She also had people she could call if she needed money.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? Like she knew millionaires. And they
Right.
were happy to give her money. Please take my money. Like
Right. Right.
but the money wasn't the thing. It was the happiness
Right.
that she was experiencing. It was when we hung out. It was when she could send me to karate camp and yes,
Right.
I'm a yellow belt with white stripes and whatever. But what does that mean? Just
Oh wow.
we moved. That's why I didn't move up. We moved.
Right.
So I didn't get to get into the next belt. But anyway, she paid for that. Granny sent me the money for that.
Right.
And that's what I think people are missing.
They are.
And that's why I want to do this episode. I don't want to come across as, the people who, me and you aren't the people who made it for making it sake and then are trying to tell you how to make it because somehow making it and making the money is the thing. No. The whole point is to be happy, to find balance, to have a real sense of self and authenticity in this space. And I can tell you for me, I did it wrong to a certain extent because I was taught wrong. I was taught that you had to move up in your career and you had to do all this stuff. And now I'm calling bullshit on all of that.
Right.
Like none of that was the point. The point was to have good friends around you, have a place that you can call home that you feel comfortable in. Like I told you, mine is Vegas, even though I live in LA, which is awesome.
Right.
Awesome, by the way, 4 miles from the beach.
Wow.
Can ride my bike to the beach, but those are the things that matter, and that's really just what I want to emphasize. Like it's not about all that rat race stuff because I think a lot of people, and this is what I want to talk about after the break, starting over. And I know you've started over at least twice. I started over 3 times. Look, right? I started over once, the big time, right before COVID, and boy, I'm thankful for this podcast because this podcast is evidence that I'm coming out of the starting over. Like I'm really able to share some pieces. So I want to take a quick break.
Okay.
And we'll throw up Motivator Lifestyle. You can see I'm repping Motivator Lifestyle right here. They are the sponsors of our branded T-shirts. So hit me up, DM me for connections to get those T-shirts. But Motivator Lifestyle, we're going to take that quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about starting over as our last question for the day.
Perfect.
Because people are scared of that.
Yes,
and I know I was.
Yes.
At the heart of the Motivator Lifestyle Company is motivation. Our mission is to inspire and empower individuals through the clothing and messages we create. We believe that by wearing our apparel, our customers will feel a sense of self-awareness, become more active, and engage in shaping their own world. Join us in spreading motivation and positivity through our unique and inspiring clothing line. Together with Strongly Financial, we can create a world where everyone is empowered to be the best version of themselves.
Back again. So thank you for the Strongly Financial t-shirt.
Yes. Very.
We often make a jokes. We make light of the whole struggle that people sometimes feel when they are in that space of, wanting it quickly. They got that fear of starting over, but that fear is a really serious fear of
Yes.
people. The way that we make fun of it is we talk about, hey, stop doing stuff that's outside your means. Stick with the stuff that you can sustain. It doesn't matter if you can at this moment afford a $760 car payment. If you can get a $400 car payment, let's wait that 6 months to get that kind of payment instead of doing the 760, because 400 is just more sustainable. That's the way we make fun of it. We don't make fun of people who have to start over. We sometimes make light of people who can't wait, who just need it right now. And we're like, oh, wait, please. But starting over is hard. Let me tell you my story of starting over. The hardest thing, I want to tell you about the fear of starting over. The fear of starting over kept me in places where I knew I shouldn't have been. And I'm talking about jobs where I knew something was, I had run my course. I learned everything I needed to learn, and this is why I'm a retired university teacher right now. Because I decided I needed to retire. But Dr. Wright, that's not a thing. They don't let you retire. No, I retired. Don't ask me nothing else. Because this is what I'm talking about. You gotta set your own even vocabulary about what you're doing sometimes, because you're in a place where people aren't respecting what you're doing. You're not feeling it in the way that, the vision is clashing there. It's time to start over. But it's the starting over. What I came to realize is the starting over is also a blossoming into what you're truly called to do.
Yes.
And the struggle for me over the last 4 years of starting over has been to really focus in. And I'll tell you what my solution was. It was to make myself my own client. When you start to recognize that you love and preach and connect and nurture other people more than you love, preach, nurture, and challenge yourself, that's when you got to get into the mindset of making yourself your own client. So it's not just starting over.
Right.
It's recognizing that you got to give all that motivation back to you. That's why I wrote the book, Love Yourself First. It's not about being selfish or unsustainably selfish. It's about being sustainably selfish and recognizing that you got to put that love first in your camp every morning for you, that motivation for you, because that starting over isn't that losing everything proposition that you thought it was.
Right.
It really was getting into that room all by yourself and recognizing, like Cat Williams said, you are your star player.
Yep.
And you got to do for you and make sure your star player is intact so that the team can flourish.
Right.
That's my story of starting over. Just scared out of my head. And then when I finally said, you know what, I got to start over, it's taken me years to now get to the point where I'm launching things that I was also scared to launch 4 years ago.
Right.
5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I was afraid. With everything I knew that I could do, I was still afraid to walk into that corporate office and say, hey, here's my card. I'd like to speak to your people. Right?
Yeah.
But guess what? That's where I am now.
Yes.
Walking into the office, dropping my card off. I need to speak to your people, right?
I need to speak to your people. Yes.
I'm loving it. You see what I'm saying? Like I had to lose it. I had to lose, everything in order to lose the fear.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
Um,
So what you got? What you got to say to that?
well, I ain't gonna give them the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Right?
I'm gonna talk about at least. It's been at least 3 times in my life that I've had to start over. For 2 of them, one was during the financial crisis in 2007 and 8, and prior to that was probably in the early 2000s from some bad investments that I made that didn't turn out like I thought they was going to turn out. So, I mean, for me, one of the things that whenever I did something out of my lane, credit, real estate, at that point in time was what I knew, and that's what I did. That's how I made my money. But every time I tried to go into another field of interest based on what somebody else trying to talk me into,
Mm,
I lost money, and it wasn't no little money. In the entertainment field, I mean, I lost several $100,000 invested into a show that I wasn't no producer. I didn't know nothing about how things worked, but I lost in that. And then the financial crash, I mean, that is a lot of people lost during that situation. Um, so I mean, I've been a millionaire twice. So I mean, if I've been a millionaire twice, that means I had to lose. And for me, it started with the mindset. It wasn't like I never doubted that I couldn't do it again. Um, for me, it was just repeating what I did before, staying focused. But like I stated before, I sacrificed a lot of my happiness and my peace with chasing this dollar.
mm,
Now, the last time it was a little bit more difficult because, like I said, you got COVID that came up, some other factors that I jumped into some other lanes that and put some money into that and didn't happen. So it's been a little longer to get back to that part as it was before. But for me and a lot of people that I deal with, it's about the mindset. It's how you think about your situation. It's how you adapt to what is happening in your life, but still have the feeling of you being abundant or wealthy or basically able to get back to where you are. But it starts with the mindset and it starts with the feeling that I'm wealthy. Based like you stated, I got to be selfish. So it's okay to be selfish because society teaches us, oh, you're not supposed to be selfish. You got to share. You got to put this person first. Damn all that. I'm the most important, the most important person around is me.
yeah,
I can't put into you unless I have reached my full potential. So that's the part that we got to look at as well. It's okay to be selfish when it comes to getting yourself mentally, or physically, or emotionally, or even spiritually, to know who you are and who you were created to be. Now, that once you've done that, then the next step is to, okay, I know I can do this. I believe in myself to do this. And you have that feeling that, even though you don't have it right now, but I got the feeling that I have it. It's coming. The universe works in that way that's going to deliver to you what you feel, and how you think with your mind. So yeah, it's and everybody's different, and it's not a good feeling once you lose, but it's okay. There is hundreds and thousands of individuals who have started businesses and failed. Several of your billionaires have had to file bankruptcy. You know what I'm saying? Several of them. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay to have to regroup. But the thing about it is you can't stop. You can't give up. Because once you give up, game's over.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
over.
That's it. I think realizing that it's not over. It's
Right.
just not over. If you don't give up, it's not over.
It ain't over.
It just isn't. And
It ain't over.
I remember telling my daughter, my oldest daughter, that there's a point in life where it doesn't matter. The cost doesn't matter. The time doesn't matter. The whoever you're bypassing doesn't matter. You got to ask the question, what is it that I want?
Right.
What is it that would give me a reason for getting up out of bed in the morning? And if that starts with taking a trip to Japan, going to Spain, which is what she ended up doing, then that's what you need to be focused on doing. Make that happen. What are the ways that you make that happen? I'm working on a book right now, and you know me, I'm always working on a book, so that's kind of silly to say.
I mean, today ain't nothing new.
But the next, I think I'm gonna put this one out next. It's actually in response to a book that's already been written, Lofty Questions, but it's my take on Lofty Questions, because that's how that works. Ask yourself questions like, why is it that I am succeeding where others are failing? What is it that makes me more courageous? What is it that keeps me from giving up and keeps me trying again? And as you start to answer those questions, and specifically in the context of how I promote answering those questions with behaviors and strengths and authenticity, you start to recognize the answers to the questions that you have been asking yourself, but you've been asking them in a negative mindset.
Yep.
Specifically back to what you were just talking about.
Yep.
That you got to flip that sense in your head. You got to get on the path to where selfishness is your opportunity to get right in order to support other people. You can't support them. And what I found myself doing is blaming other people for not being great, so that you being ungreat is keeping me from living out my potential, because I need you to be a multimillionaire so that I can go and ask multimillionaires for money.
Right.
But what I just decided to do is, let me just go ahead and become the multimillionaire and then just show y'all how to be that, philanthropist in that space.
Exactly.
And along that way, I also ask myself the questions about happiness, and knowing that it's going to be a situation, and it is a situation right now, where I'm the happiest I've ever been, the most comfortable I've ever been. And along with that, as you're witnessing, I'm the most productive I've ever been.
Yes.
And that's what we're all trying to get to in this.
That's all.
Really. You get the final word.
Man, you just said it all right there. I don't know how I can't even come behind that. Well, and I mean, I just want people to know and understand, when it comes to me and you, we're no different than you.
Yeah.
Or you. We have trials, we have tribulations, we have situations in our life that we had to start over. We failed in this scenario, but we keep pushing. We keep allowing ourselves an opportunity to grow, and get it right, and take it to the next step and to the next level. And we pour a lot of our time and energy into other people, and have done that for years. But I will agree with, now is the time for us to show up and show out. It's about being selfish. I've been called baby Jesus for years because I'll try to save the world. I'm over here, the person got this problem. Okay, I'm gonna put this out. Especially when I had the means to do that financially. But then you find out that so many people just start taking advantage of that because they know you're gonna come and save the world. So they ain't got to do nothing but just call and ask. Okay, I'm gonna screw it up. I'm gonna call Ali, baby Jesus, and he gonna fix it. Well, now it's to the point now, it's not about that part of it. It's about making sure I can be the best that I can be for me, that I can provide the best for me, that I can have peace, be content where I am now, knowing where I'm going,
Mm.
and be happy with that. And don't have to please or be judged by anybody or care what anybody thinks. At this point in time, because a lot of times one of our fears is to think about what people gonna say, or what
Always.
they
Yep.
gonna do, how they gonna react, and they gonna look at me crazy, or think I'm a fool or whatever. They probably think that anyway, whether
Yep.
you're a millionaire or not. So
Yep.
who cares what they think? So look at it like that, and concentrate on you, because you can't save the world if you ain't saved it.
That's it. That's it.
It's just simple.
I
That's it.
appreciate that, bro. Appreciate you.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
catch up. We got some good stuff on the horizon.
Yes, we do.
So we'll talk soon. Appreciate you.
Real
Talk
soon.
to you next week.
Real soon. Okay.
All right, man.
All right. Peace.